Hello everyone, I am back with another video on Star Resonance, and it's kind of funny. Originally I was supposed to do a video that I was literally recording a day before this announcement went out about the rebate because I wanted to talk about it, but then we got an update, so I kind of had to scratch that video as I was editing it yesterday, and it's kind of irrelevant now. So we'll just talk about this instead, which luckily last video was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, or the video I was working on was a bit longer than I wanted it to be. So this will probably be a lot shorter because there's less to talk about here. Also, my microphone should be a little bit better quality. I had filters on it last time, and I don't really like the filters that I put on, but I kind of felt like I had to, so we'll see with this one, but hopefully it should still sound a little bit better. But we have the official statement in regards to some of the backlash that they got for having the rebate with the closed beta test that they had. And they had a poll, which the poll, I believe, it's actually gone, I think. Oh no, here it was. This was the poll right here. And it had, 3 options and whatnot about having a CBT starting with a small group of people and then increasing in size so that more people would join the further along the closed beta test went. But I didn't really like this that much as an idea. I felt like there were largely only 2 solutions, and this was one of them. As they kind of mentioned here, they decided that effectively, I mean, you could read what's on the screen, but effectively they got rid of the rebate bonus, which was like the most important thing. So basically, as it is now, the CBT is going to go out as normal, but there will not be a rebate bonus. And it kind of fixes 2 issues. One of them is, the most obvious one, which is like arguably the biggest complaint, which was that people who spent money, or first of all, people who were able to get into the closed beta were going to be able to spend money, and then when the official launch came out, would have way more money in return in terms of like in-game currency and whatnot, right? It was like if you spent $100, you would get like effectively $150 in game by the official launch, which for any amount of small pay-to-win aspects still means that those people have an advantage over others, which just, for a Western audience at least, didn't seem very fair. So they basically took that out. So now it's 1-to-1. So if you spend $100 in the CBT, you're only getting the $100 you spent on the official launch, which is the same thing as if you just spent $100 when the game officially launched, basically. So there really isn't much of a difference there. But the second thing that it fixes, which I actually do think is a good thing, I think some people are probably a little bit more, indifferent on it, but from, someone who's been waiting for this game, who was waiting for, original Blue Protocol to come out in the West and got teased with Amazon Games and whatnot, seeing that the CBT was actually happening for Star Resonance globally was super big. But then, seeing the whole rebate thing and, how much money they were seemingly hoping you would maybe spend felt kind of scummy. And one of the advantages to the changes they made is that there's also now significantly less of an incentive to actually spend money during the CBT, which I really like. Should you have the ability to 100%? Sure. I don't think it should be necessarily encouraged though, and I think that the previous rebate system did very heavily encourage you to spend. But now there isn't really any encouragement to spend aside from just wanting to support the game, which kind of should be what the bar for that is, I think. And so it kind of fixes that, although again, that second part might be a little bit more personal for me, but I'm sure some people are kind of in the same boat of like not feeling like you need to be forced to spend if you did make it into the CBT, and now you don't have to. So it kind of kicks off that CBT looking quite a bit better, and I think a lot of people are going to be more happy about that. And notably, they also said that they're not far from the official launch. They say Once the CBT concludes, we aim to launch the full version of the game shortly after, which we still don't have the actual dates for the CBT. Again, if you look at this, it says that the recruitment period is to August 14th, and the winner drawings are for the 15th to the 20th. So I would presume maybe it would start late August. I don't know how late after the last day of the keys would go out. I have no clue. So my guess would be late August, early September though, which probably means that the actual official launch of the game might become like late September, early October, in which case the only real remaining question is how much is the global going to be behind the China server at launch. We know we're probably going to have all the same classes at the start, which makes sense because they had all 8 classes at launch, but are we going to have the August 1st raids? Although I think they're not actually available yet. I think not available until like August 4th or 6th or whatever. But are we going to have those level 60 raids basically, right, at launch? Obviously not on the first day, but would it be something that we would still have actually in the game so that once we do get to the day where we hit level 60, we can actually kind of do that stuff, because I think that'll be nice. And also like the housing system that is supposed to get updated, I think like midway through season 1 in China, all that stuff. If we have all of that towards launch for global, that'll be nice. But the real thing is, or the key thing is to see how much further behind are we going to be. Notably, there are still some people complaining actually about the idea that they removed the rebate, which I think, I don't know, and it was for that second reason of like now there isn't really much of an incentive for people, so people that wanted to support the game don't get rewarded, which you still get rewarded, you just don't get rewarded more than any other person would, kind of thing. So I don't really think that was a good point. But the other thing that I have still seen people complain about, and I am still going to complain about it, is they want to do the CBT to help stress test the server infrastructure, verify cross-region functionality, and optimize localization. These are kind of the things that in the video I was recording yesterday before this came out was what I was arguing with why you should do an open beta test instead of a closed one, because we know that they're not testing the game flow, the game loop, and all that stuff. It's evident here they're not testing that. They're testing basically, these two things are basically server stuff, right? This is just like server capacity. This is with the mega server that they're doing for cross-region functionality, and then the localization is, this is barely a test. It's more of, are there any grammatical errors that people find, or like things being displayed incorrectly, basically, right? So majority of this is exactly what I thought, which is stress testing the servers. My question is, if you're doing a closed beta, how much are you actually stress testing it? Like, can you, extrapolate the amount of people in CBT to support the amount of people that might be in official launch? Because we know that this was an issue in China, so how do we know that it's not going to be an issue in global? Some people think that there's not going to be as many people trying to play it as in China. That's totally possible. It kind of depends, but that doesn't mean that there still wouldn't be server issues. So I'm kind of confused onto what the point of having the closed beta is to test that if China did a closed beta test and they had server issues. So it's just, I don't understand what this is. We saw a closed beta happen in a region, and we saw an official launch, and then it was a crazy drama fest those first days with the servers and all the blowback from that, and it got like review bombed. There was the whole dev live stream comment situation as well. That's like a whole nother story. So it's like all that stuff looked really bad for them, despite the fact that the game itself is actually still quite enjoyable. I think most people would say like the actual content of the game is very enjoyable, but the servers were just so bad that it got so much backlash within China itself. And I don't know that they want that for global. Like, I wouldn't want that, so why would I want to repeat the same mistake? So that's my other concern, I guess, right now is obviously, one, when the server officially launches, how far are we going to be behind? But two, is this really the best way? Are we not going to have, China launch 2.0 happening for global, where we just have servers absolutely obliterated for the first couple of days, you know. So those are my main worries, but we'll have to see. Again, I think, what is it, when this ends, August 14th, so still have a couple days before, well, probably more than a couple days, like a week or two, I think, before those end and the keys go out. So hopefully, again, hoping I'm getting in. Hopefully, you know, anyone who's watching, you get in as well. And, you know, maybe there'll still be more updates on this. Again, they do still have the thread down here where people are talking about it, and some people are mentioning the open beta test and stuff like that. So until then, though, until beta and whatnot, I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.